Hello there and welcome back to another review. Today we're going to be having a look at Lethal Weapon 2, again directed by Richard Donner, starring Mel Gibson, Danny Glover, made in 1989. This also included the introduction of Joe Pesci's Leo Getz character. Shane Black, his original script, I think actually was a lot darker than the finished film that we get. I think it was a lot more sort of like grittier and darker in tone, a lot more bloody, and actually ended, I think, with Riggs, Mel Gibson's character, actually dying. I think that was originally what was intended. Got my Lethal Weapon Blu-ray box set here, but yeah, so I think that was how it like that scene where sort of Murtaugh's holding Riggs on the ship. I think that was actually meant to be the end of thing, because this film is not really as sort of how can I say it? It's not sort of heavy on the sort of the drama, as it's more like the comedy starts to come in here. As I say, it ended with Riggs dying, but the studio obviously wanted to focus more on comedy and of course make more sequels, because like I've said in previous reviews, you know, when something's a hit and you're making loads of money, you got to keep churning them out, you got to keep making the sequels. So that's what the studio's like, no, we can't kill him off. So obviously that wasn't what was originally in Shane Black's script and what he wanted to do. This is something that the franchise always struggled with. It goes a lot of it goes from being super funny, like Lethal Weapon. It goes, you know, the first film is regarded to be a classic, and like a lot of people are divided on all the sequels. Some people like them, some people don't. Some people think, especially like 2 and 3, are absolute. You know, they're not always hits with the critics. Lethal Weapon, I know, like they're hugely popular movies, but not everybody's necessarily a big fan of all the sequels. But it goes, like I say, some of the problems that people have, it goes from being super funny and light-hearted at one point to like bloody and brutal the next. It sometimes doesn't get that. It goes from sort of laughing around, joking around, and then bloody and brutal. Then laughing around, joking around to bloody and brutal. But I think that's where people sometimes a bit like sort of, okay, them two things are sort of, you're going from flipping from one thing to the other, but again, that's sort of meant to be hard to find, you know, so you do get the action, you do get the comedy, and it just sort of comes together, especially like I mentioned in my Lethal Weapon review, especially with the chemistry between Danny Glover and Mel Gibson. You know, it really does work in a lot of the scenes. And you know, Shane Black even going so as to say his original script, I think, for Lethal Weapon 2 was like the best thing that he ever wrote. I think at one point he did say that like it was the best thing he'd ever done. In my opinion, you only get to see sort of the true Riggs is in the first film. After that, he'd become very different. The only time you really see the true Martin Riggs as we know or want Martin Riggs to be is in the first movie. So the film opens right away where we instantly reintroduced to Riggs and Murtaugh in a high-speed pursuit. Riggs cheering about how much he loves his job and how much, you know, straight away you're back knowing these guys, it's familiar territory. You know, you're in the driving seat with Riggs and Murtaugh. Roger paranoid about scratching the cars. It's his wife's car. So this opening scene, we yet again get Riggs chasing after the villains on foot, which he does quite a lot. Riggs is always chasing after the guys on foot for some reason. I think he just prefers it sometimes, just running after these dudes. As well as a helicopter. There's always a helicopter. So already, like I mentioned, you know, we're in familiar territory here. You know it's already a Richard Donner Lethal Weapon movie. They find Krugerrands in the back of a guy's car. Then we have Riggs trying to get out of like this straitjacket. And that's what's another thing I find hilarious, that they always... These cops, they're under all this pressure, got to arrest these criminals and everything, but they always have time in the mornings to sort of lark around, have a bit of a joke, you know, let's put bets down, see if Riggs can get out of this straitjacket. Always got time. Always got time to have little bets and little wagers, and, you know, after losing the bet, one of them pays with South African money. I mean, it's nice to know that the evidence is protected, you know, like Riggs and Murtaugh find these Krugerrands, and it's, one of them pays with one of these. It's nice to know the evidence is in a safe place. Like somebody's obviously just thieving it, put it in his pocket. You know, I don't know. I mean, should he be in trouble for that? He's got it on him. I'm not quite sure how that works. Murtaugh does say, look, this is evidence at one point, but yeah, this guy's just got part of the criminal's evidence. So that's what he pays with. Then we have Roger's daughter in like a condom commercial, and him, you know, parking. When he comes home, he parks the car outside. And he's like, I don't want your mum seeing it. He doesn't want his wife to find out it's all smashed up. I mean, I'm pretty sure she won't see it. It's just parked right outside your house, Rog. You know, it's parked right outside you. She's only got to look out the window and she will see, she will see the smashed up car. Like I say, it does get you used and reacquainted with our two leads, although Riggs is definitely more comedy orientated now, and he's not sort of as on edge as he was. And I suppose you could argue that's what the effect Roger has had on him. He has sort of mellowed him a bit, but you don't get, like I mentioned earlier, you don't get true Martin Riggs other than in the first movie. I think after this, the character, especially after 2, it's not the Riggs that we had in the first movie. So the guy they were chasing goes to his boss and he says he has lost $1 million in Kruger, and they kill him. Just so happens they have Murtaugh's file and know that he's in charge of the case. I mean, I'm not sure where they got their information from, these criminals, these South African criminals, but they've got his file. They know Roger Murtaugh's in charge of the case. How? How did they know? How did they get his files? That I don't even think that's even ever explained. How do they always know, these villains? How do they always know that the cop who is after them is this? How do they always have their file? Then we have Riggs cutting up veg, talking to Roger's wife, which fleshes out a bit more about his wife, and it doesn't make us forget that as like an audience member that he lost his wife. They do drive that on home, and they do. There's a nice little scene there between him and Roger's like wife, where he's cutting up the vegetables and he's just talking about sort of what happened. So you do get a sense there, but like Riggs has sort of all become all domesticated and civilized, and but again, like I say, it's that dynamic. He's like Roger's that family he sort of never had. Then 4 masked people manage to get into Roger's home, tie them up, and give them a warning. I mean, how can you imagine how stealthy they must be? Like, so they're all in bed. These guys, 4 or 5 of them, have walked in, tied the family up, gone into Roger's bedroom. You know, no squeaky floorboards, nobody heard nothing. They all managed to get in proper stealthy ninja style. Proper ninjas, like I say, with not making one single sound, and managed to get right into his bedroom and tie the people like kids up in the process. That is some stealthy stuff going on right there. 4 of them, no less, as I say. Then told they have to protect, Riggs and Murtaugh told they have to protect a witness. Joe Pesci's character at his hotel, an assassin comes in and tries to take him out, and they fall sort of into the pool below. Riggs goes down. I do like in this bit, Riggs is smashing the guy, because there's like sort of something in the pool that's sort of covering his face, and Riggs sort of smashing this guy's face thinking it's the assassin, but it's actually Leo. I do like that because he is proper smashed, like really whacking his face, which does tickle me every time I see it. This did make me laugh. So Leo tells him what the deal is and was helping them sort of launder money. And wouldn't the chief have briefed them before they went to sort of check in on Leo? Like, Leo's the one that tells him why they got to protect him. Like, why he's a witness, and he was sort of laundering money for these people. And Leo fills them in. Surely, like I said, the chief would have briefed Riggs and Murtaugh on why they're protecting him and what he's there for. It's not just go along and protect this guy. Leo's the one that tells them, why he needs protection. So whatever. So Leo says he knows where these guys are that he was laundering money for. So he's like, I know where they are, I know where they're based, I know where their hideout is. So he just takes them right there. Like, Leo, he's in like witness protection. Riggs is like, well, let's go get him. And he takes them right there in broad daylight, no less. So Leo has got some balls. Leo's like, bearing in mind, obviously, how dangerous these guys are, that he's in protection. He's like, well, I know where they live. Do you want to just drive up there? And he goes with them in broad daylight. Leo's just sitting in the car. I love how Leo just doesn't care. Even, like I say, even within protection, he's still happy to go right to their front door. So Riggs goes in, and another chase ensues with the assassin from the hotel, who basically gets killed by a surfboard at one point through the windscreen. They go back to the building to sort of arrest people where Leo took them, and find out the head is the Minister of Diplomatic Affairs for the South African consulate. And that we has the diplomatic immunity and all that. If you've seen this movie, you know the drill. Then he sees Patsy Kensit. Now, this thing that her character and Riggs have going on, she works for like the bad dude, right? And she can't stop giggling and smiling every time she sees Riggs. She's all smitten. She's like, oh, she's laughing. She every time she just thinks he's cute, he's laughing, and it's just so forced. Like, the whole dynamic between them two is just so forced. You got the love interest right there, and then the boss has a word with her, sort of saying, like, I'm sorry about all this, whatever. And then he starts stroking her face, and if your boss is doing that, he's probably not the guy you should be working for. If he's a bit of a sleazy guy like that, then maybe you probably should go and get another job and work for somebody else. Because if he's sort of getting a bit too close for comfort, you may want to think mainly probably about other employment. I don't know. It's just a suggestion. It's quite obvious he's a bad dude. So Riggs starts stalking the boss man. Rika, played by Patsy Kensit, seeing him again on CCTV, sees Riggs sort of there, and she's again just laughing like, oh, Riggs, she just thinks he's just hilarious. She can't get enough of it. Like I say, romantic interest coming a mile off. You smell it a mile off. Then we have the probably funniest scene of the film. I'm not bashing this film, but it's just like me, just when talking about just some of the plotting discrepancies and things that when I watch it, because I've seen it loads of times, things that don't always make that much sense. So we have the bomb on the toilet scene, which is a classic scene everybody remembers from Lethal Weapon. And I love how they encounter all these people that just love bombs, and they always manage to get in when somebody's not there. Nobody sees them go in. They've managed to get into his apartment, put a bomb under the toilet, and nobody up that Rogers Street or anywhere near him has like clocked that there's a bomb. These guys were in your place. Nobody no neighbours, no people in the street notice. If you watch that scene after the fire brigade and all that turn up, Rogers' house is just packed with people, and they all know a bomb is in there. Would that actually happen? Like, everybody's in there. Not just bomb, but everybody's in his house, and it's like, right, let's clear out. There's a bomb, an armed bomb in there. Everybody's just chilling around Roger's house. If you watch that, the house is loaded up with people. Wouldn't it be like proper minimum? Proper like less people the better. I mean, would that actually be allowed? I will say there's a nice moment here between Riggs and Murtaugh when he says, guys like you don't die in the toilet, and I'm here now, and I don't plan on going just yet. You do get that real bromance there between Riggs and Murtaugh, which works. And when he says Martin, and he looks at him, and Mel Gibson goes, I know. It's this sweet little moment there between Riggs and Murtaugh. So at the consulate, Roger and Leo kick off, allowing Riggs to sneak in. I love how the guy just lowers the gate and then just leaves his post, allowing Riggs to walk in uncompromised. The guy lowers the gate, walks away, Riggs walks in. No security at all. Riggs just walks into the consulate. Then we have Riggs admitting to Rika that he followed her to the grocery store. Again, to which she just laughs, flattening her eyelashes and not worried at all that she might be just being used to get to her boss at one point. Rika's not worried that Riggs might be just using her to get to her boss, but she's not worried about that. She's just smitten with Riggs. She's just like, God, just take me to bed already. So the bad guy kills some of their colleagues, bombs at swimming pools. They kill some of Riggs and Murtaugh's sort of cop buddies, who no character development, don't even know who they are, but they just, with bombs at her swimming pool. There's always how they get into these places without being clocked at any point. I have no idea. It's always big, loud. It's never a clean hit either. It's never just like, because if they can sneak into these buildings like they did with Roger's house at the start of the movie, why is it always bombs and something loud and anything that's going to draw attention to them? It's like, right, let's do it just like with the first movie. It's like, it's got to be bombs. It has to be bombs. So Roger recognises the name. They discover which is a ship, and they go back to his house, and he tells Leo to wait in the car. So bear in mind, Leo's still on like witness protection at this point. Why not just take him with you? Why did Leo have to wait in the car? Like, he says, wait in the car, I'll just go in, I'll just be a sec. Wouldn't it be easier to just take him in with you and just stick together? But so whatever. So more choppers that then attack Riggs' place. There's always choppers, isn't there? You got to have. Richard Donner just loves helicopters and he loves bombs. As a matter of fact, all the villains in Lethal Weapon full stop just love this kind of stuff. So, like I say, I love how these guys would do bombs and chopper raids, anything subtle, anything where Riggs, there's an annoying part where Riggs sort of shoots the chopper down. He sort of shoots the chopper down, and you see the chopper sort of go down in the background below this sort of hill, this background, and there's no explosion at all. So I was expecting like a massive, explosion or something, but that doesn't even happen. That just doesn't happen. So you get, I just thought there'd have been a massive anything, but no, just chopper just falls down. It's also worth mentioning this scene that Riggs totally forgets about his dog Sam as they're driving away. Riggs totally forgets about Sam completely. It's only Rickard that sort of says, "Oh, like, Sam," like Riggs had totally forgotten about his dog, like his best buddy in the world. He totally, absolutely forgot about him as they're driving away. Then after all this, what do? He just takes her home. He just takes Rika home. After all of that, they've just been attacked, shot, choppers and everything. He takes her home. Does he not think maybe she might not be safe? Does Riggs not occur to him that after what we've just been through, I better stay with her, or like put her in protection, or do something? Because obviously if they're going to kill me, they're not worried about killing her, and the fact I know her, I might be putting her life in danger. No, he just walks her back to her apartment, to her place, like it's just a regular date night. He just like, "So I'll see you again soon," just drops her off. She's like, "Well, I just couldn't." When I see that, I just think that he wouldn't do that. I mean, he just stay with her? So it turns out the guys are responsible. It turns out these bad dudes, they're responsible for killing Riggs' wife. So they have to sort of connect it to his past. Riggs has to sort of get redemption. He's like, it's personal now, Rog. So they don't just shoot Riggs. They get him, but they don't just shoot him. They wrap him in a sack and they put him in the water, because we know Riggs can like pop his arm out of his socket, so he can wriggle out of it. He's not going to drown. Why didn't they just shoot him? And lo and behold, he goes into the water, and there he finds Patsy Kensit is dead. Rika's dead. So surely, of course, she was going to die as soon as you left her. Surely, Riggs, you would have known they would have got to her, and she wouldn't have been safe after what just happened when they just attacked your trailer. Surely you would have known that, Riggs. But he can't breastfeed it. He sees they've killed Rika, so you're just at this point. I was just like, if you'd have stayed with her, she might have still been alive. So he goes to take out the baddies. He pulls down their place with a truck, then to the ship. Then it goes to the ship. Then there's a punch-up shootout, and with actually they trump the bad guys, and Murtaugh saying, with the diplomatic community, and Danny Glover says, well, it's just been revoked, and that's sort of the end of the film. Riggs is injured, camera pans up, and that's the end of the movie. So bit of a rant, this one. It wasn't, sorry if it come across like a bit of a humongous rant, but there's just little bits with this film where I'm just like, how do these guys plant these bombs? How do they sneak in so covertly without anybody sensing? What's with the choppers? Why is it never, why is it every kill's got to be as loud as possible? How do they always get files on Roger and Riggs? How do they always know who's in charge? I mean, I'm sure, it can, if you look into it, it probably can be explained, but just watching this as a movie as a whole, why didn't he stick with Rika? Why? Loads of little things that I just think, surely, come on. But to me, like I say, I will try and review all the Lethal Weapons. I do enjoy them, but I think the trouble is, as with a lot of franchises, as they go on, they just sort of run out of bit of steam. They just, especially compared to the first one, because this one is a different sort of entity altogether, especially the third one as well. And by the time you get to the fourth, Riggs is not Riggs. Even in this film, as mentioned, it's not Riggs. But if you, it's not, I'm saying I hate the movie. I'm not saying that at all. But it's just little things where it's just like, it's not the same people, it's not the same character, it's not the same. Roger's pretty much the same, but there's just that edge has gone, that edge has disappeared from both Riggs and Murtaugh, but it's still enjoyable. But it's just, I don't think anything will be regarding like Lethal Weapons as as classic as the first movie. So thank you very much for watching. If you like Lethal Weapon 2, if you hate Lethal Weapon 2, or your opinions on it, let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you again soon.